Yeah, thank you. By the way, dzień dobry, nie mów po polsku. And yes, I talk this way because I live in Poland during 1 year and a half, maybe not, I think in less than 1 year and a half. But I live in Krakow, by the way. My address, it was Kuźnicy-Kołątajowski, you know, so my pronunciation is not so good, but anyway, and I live there in Poland. And today we're going to talk about how you can keep your code safe. The idea behind of this presentation is to talk more about the security stuffs when you think about the development process, right? And yeah, so my name is Filipi Pires and I'm a security research and cybersecurity advocate in some organization, in some project. And by the way, I've been working as a security research at Sapporo. Sapporo, it's a company from Switzerland, by the way. And I'm responsible for creating different attacking modules from this project. So I need to study about how the attacker think, and I need to understand how the attacker happened in the cloud environment. And after that, I create and specifically logic of these attacks, and I pass to the development team, and this team is responsible for creating the product, right? So, but I have an experience to talk about the security and working in different companies, looking from the how you can implementing the DevSecOps culture, right? And I'm advocate of this awesome project called the Hacking is Not a Crime, okay? And the idea behind of this project is to talk about the how you can use in your creative mind. So, or not or, but what is exactly hacking or what is a hacker? It's not a bad guy, because when you talk about this specifically guy, okay, it's about the cyber criminal. They stole something and, you know, the theft of the intellectual property or something like this, okay? But the hacking, in fact, is how you can looking from your creative, or how not you can looking, but how you can use in your creative mind. And the other point is, if you are a developer, and probably you are, you using a lot your creative mind. So you using this concept calling hacking. So that's the idea behind of this project, right? And I'm creating and reviewer and instructor of this 3 magazines calling Pentest Magazine. By the way, all those magazines from Poland is Pentest Magazine, Hacking 9, and a Forensic Magazine. Okay, this is my simple web page that you can find information about me. Here, other presentations in other events that I've been, you know, talking different topics about the malwares, you know, pivoting techniques and other stuff like this, and some articles published in the same magazine that I mentioned at. And yes, and simple, this is me. And here my GitHub that you can find in these specifically presentations, okay? So you can find it here. I have here the repository, and by the way, you can see here the ORSEC demo, okay? So I will explain more about how this works, how this tools works, basically. So I have here the, okay, it's in Portuguese language, but I will change it here for English. I have here the tools called ORSEC. So what is exactly ORSEC? Is a specifically tool responsible for executing SAST code. I mean, SAST, it means statistical code analysis to identify specifically security flaws in your code, and not in your code, but during the development process, right? So it's a very nice open source tool, is maintained by this company called Zup Innovation, but it's from the community. You can click here. You have here some interesting resources, right? So we have here the community. If you click here, you can open in another browser here. It's let me open here. You can see the, sorry for that. You can, let me click here once again. Yeah, Zup open source forum. It's a specifically forum that you can, you know, exchanging knowledge, made questions with the community. So if you try, you know, using these tools, you can write here some doubts that you have, and Zup has this specifically team responsible for answer all of those questions, right? And let me return here. You have the doc here, basically is like from GitHub. You can see here the simple overview. Actually, not here is, let me change it here. It's you can create a issue. You have here, you can put here ORSEC and put here GitHub. It's more easier. Okay. Zup IT ORSEC. This is the main page of this project, right? So basically, it's very interesting because if you are a developer, you can test in your code, you can try in your code, but not only this, but you have here some specifically folder called examples. So if you click here, you can check many different programming language, not only programming language, but you can find here tools to test your code, like for example, codes vulnerable for example, in Terraform and in Kubernetes and other things, not only in programming language. So let me explain more details about that. So RSec is basically, as I mentioned, that you can testing the programming language, as I mentioned, Java, Kotlin, Python, Ruby, Golang. You can use it in some tools like Terraform, Kubernetes, and others. And it's very interesting because this tool is responsible for search for key leaks and security for flows in different files. So let's suppose that you have a specifically code and you have a specifically password hard coded in your code. So you can find this when you run these tools, and you can appear this for you, and you can integrate your RSec inside of your CI/CD pipeline. It's very interesting, right? And these tools you can use in a managed way, so you can find here other possibilities, but I will explain during these presentations, right? So let me return here the overview. So this is the main page, okay? docs.rsec.io. You can see here the simple overview, what is exactly RSec, but as I mentioned, it's a SaaS tools, okay? So performance and statistic analysis tools. You can run has a CLI, or you can use it and a specific extension for IDE, like AVS Code. I will explain during this presentation about that. And you can use it here in a web application. It's very interesting to manage that, okay? So some interesting thing just to clarify everyone. So RSec works on a specifically vulnerabilities name. They're using 6 types of the security branches. I mean, the critical, high, medium, low, info, and unknown. Okay, so that's interesting point to know, because so what should be the main vulnerabilities that you need to treat when you find your code? Basically, is the high and critical, maybe medium, and this is the 3 main, let's say this way, okay? But of course, it's important to see the low and info and unknown as well. But that's, if you think about the security perspective, this is the 3 main point, okay? So other point just to clarify, so the difference between the SaaS, DAS, and IaaS, probably you know about that, but if you don't know, this is a simple explanation. SaaS is, again, a statistical application security testing. DAS is dynamic application security testing. When you perform this analysis after the build your code, when you have the URL to test something, so that's the point here, important. And of course, you have the IaaS, is an interactive application security test. Maybe you are thinking about the container scanning, or SCCA is a scanning composition analysis, or RASP. So we have many others possibilities to use, but I'm just would like to explain to you the simple explanations about those differences. Okay, so let's go to the CLI here and installations, by the way, because I'm installing now. So you can using basically 4 ways to install the RSec: locally, manually, installing by Docker, or in your pipeline. Okay, so I will using here 2 specific way. First of all, using in my environment here. So let me open here my bash here. I install manually. So let's see here, cd demo. Yeah, it's demo and RSec. Okay, so it's pretty simple. Copy and paste here. So if you see, it's a simple command here to call using curl. Is a tool to using to calling this specifically bash script to install and install the latest version. Okay, so let me executing this. So probably I have a specific J key because I'm using this this virtual machine to use in other programs. So I install here the version v2.7 and 1. This is the git commit, and my installation works. And by the way, if you see here, I downloaded these tools and I moved to the specific binary location, or local binary, right? So if I'm using here RSec dash version, you can, no, it's just I think just to volume 1. Exactly. And no, what is the version? Let's say here, it's only version. Exactly. Version, you see, is the same that the installation that I made here in our conversation. Okay, so I installed the RSec here. So if you see here, I have 4 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, basically 5 folders to perform my scanning. Okay, so basically I need to execute in the orsec-h to see what command I can use, but how I can use in this CLI. Basically, remember, if I'm a developer, I can use it manually, or I can use it through the IDE or in the pipeline. So I tried to explain those 3 ways for you. Okay, so the first, I just set in orsec. I need to set the start to obviously start the tools, and I can use in some available commands like a completion, like it means a generate an out completion script, or generate and help start an version. So I would like to start, in fact, the analysis. So I need to execute in the orsec here, orsec start, and I don't know what exactly command I can use. I put in -h, okay, to see some possible commands. So let's see here. So this command is start, in fact, start the orsec, and if you see here, we will starting in the current path. I mean, so, and this is specifically directory, okay, or folder, whatever. And after that, I can set the flags. The flags, I mean, it's a command, okay. So this is some flags that you can use in here. And I like, by the way, this -h, -a is, it means authorization. So if I would like to send all those informations for the management console, the web management console, I need to set -a, and I need to put in the token to send all those informations vulnerable, or, and I mean, how many codes I have a vulnerable, or how many vulnerabilities I found in my code, I can send it to the management console. Okay, so others that I can put here, for example, if you're using some quality tools like a Sonar Cube, for example, the community version, for example, I can set -o, and I can integrate, and I can send in the specifically format, and I can integrate my orsec with my Sonar Cube, as you can see here. So I can set -o, for example, and I can integrate these tools with your Sonar Cube. Okay, so just a simple example to see. Okay, now let's go to orsec here and start, because I will start this tools. And if I just click and enter here, take a look at that, I will try, not I, but the orsec will executing in the current path. So proceed yes or no, and I can click yes, and they will starting to executing and specifically scanning inside of this code, this folder. I suppose that I have my project here. So this is the folder that will be analyzing now. Okay, so let's see here. So during this point, let's return here the other possibility. If you use in Windows, for example, you can use in a curl, or you can download in a specifically binary. As you can see here, you can download the binary and install on even in Linux and Mac OS, as you can see here, and Windows. So you have our other possibility to install. Okay, and you can install via Docker image, as I mentioned with you. So here you have the guidance to use. It's pretty simple. Okay, and if we have time during our conversation, I will try to install in my GitHub Actions to show you how this works in a pipeline perspective. Okay, so you can use it by GitHub Actions, AWS Code Build. You can use in a Circle CI, and you can use in your Jenkins. Okay, so you have that. But suppose that you have Jenkins in your environment, you can use in this. You can improve your process. Okay, and if you want, you can use it as well in Azure DevOps Pipeline and GitHub CI/CD. Okay, so let me once again. Okay, let me return here in the terminal. Okay, scanning code yet. So let me close this another, and scanning code. Okay, so other point important about these tools, that these tools, it was created from Zup Innovation, but it's totally the improvement that you can see in these tools is totally responsible for the community. So because of that, it's very important, if it's possible, of course, you testing these tools and you can see what, kind of improvement you can suggest in front of this tool, because, it's an open source, is from the community. Okay, so let's return here to our scanning. So this is the log. Okay, to understand those informations. Okay, so I try to execute here and take a look at this, and ORSEC ended the analysis. Okay, and here this is the analysis. So just to clarify, I'm using here my virtual machine, and I have I'm using virtual machine, and I'm streaming this presentation. So because of that, the time to this analysis is low. Let's say this way, because again, I'm using the virtual machine and it's streaming together in the same machine. Okay, and take a look at the results. So here you can see the language. In this case, it's JavaScript. This severity, remember the vulnerability: critical, high, medium, and low. And here you can see the specifically line and column where you can find this vulnerability. And other interesting information there, by the way, I like a lot, is a security tools. In this case, is the ORSEC engine. Okay, so in this case, this engine is created by the ORSEC team. In this case, the open source team inside of the ORSEC. Okay, and because inside of these tools we have more than one engine, not only ORSEC engine, but we will see others engine. Okay, and here the confidence is based on a specifically standard from the security, and you can see here the file, exactly file that is vulnerable. So if you see, here is the root folder. Okay, so home Thor demo and ORSEC-demo, this is the root folder. And if you see here other folders like node, and you can see the injection.js. Okay, and this is a specifically code, specifically that we need to improve that. And maybe take a look at interesting information. So if you are a developer, and probably you are, but if you don't know much things about the security, so here it's very important research to learn more about the security. So here you can see the details. So how is exactly this vulnerability? So this vulnerability is not decided by me or our SEC team, but this vulnerability is defined by CWE, means Common Weakness Enumeration. Okay, so let me delete this, and I will go to the 78 vulnerability. In this case, what is exactly this vulnerability? Is an improper neutralization of the special elements used in EOS command. Okay, and you can suffer a possible command injection attack. It's very, very interesting, because here is the main page that you can see the description and the information about this specifically vulnerability. In some case, you can see others relevant and child vulnerabilities linked from these specifically main vulnerabilities. So this is the very, very nice research to learn more about the security. And of course, if you see, it's based on from Maitri, and it's a very known organization. And you can see many informations about the vulnerability, about the security stuff, and other things. Okay, so, and in the end, you can see here the reference hash. It means if you're using the web console, you can check those reference check. So let's go to another. In this case, it's a Java. The first is JavaScript, remember? And this case is different, because you see here Java is high, line and column, security tools. In this case, it's ORSEC engine. Okay, and take a look at that. Here's in the app.js. Okay, in this case, the vulnerability is more insecure random number generator. Okay, let's see another log. And this case is almost different, because in this case, the language it's Go is different. Okay, but the security still, take a look at that, it's based on GoSec. It's very interesting, because not only the ORSEC engine, but you can create your own, you can improve these tools using your own engine to in fact detect if your code is vulnerable. For example, let's suppose that you're using, if you'd like to using, for example, I don't know if they have Elixir. Elixir they supported. Let me check here in the page, but it's not too clear for me. Or sec GitHub. I have here some examples. I explain to you. In example here, let's see some you have here Elixir. Yeah, but let's suppose that you have another language like I don't remember now the name, but I completely forgot. I was thinking about one specific program language, but I forgot now. But not Elixir, it's Erlang. Let's suppose that you, okay, Erlang is not here. Okay, just it's based on Elixir. But let's suppose that you have some specific project in Erlang. You can create any specifically or sec. You can improve this in your code because you can changing this based on these open source tools. So let's suppose that you have a specific project in Erlang. You can look in from inside of the ORSEC, and you can use any specifically tags and informations, or actually you can use in specifically regex. You can use it based on this regex. You can improve, and you can use it in a security way. You can put in has our ORSEC engine, but it's a custom ORSEC engine by you, for example, if you're using Erlang. I'm just a simple example, okay? So it's very interesting because you can manage it, these tools. It's pretty nice. By the way, I really like that, okay? And other vulnerability, and okay, just a 5. Let's see here in the end of this analysis, a total of the 5 possible vulnerabilities were found, and we classified into 2 medium, 1 low, and 2 high. It's very interesting. Okay, so if you are a developer, you can use it here in another way. So just to click in here extension, you can put in here, as you can see here, ORSEC, and take a look what happened here is the tools, right? And here you can find more informations about the ORSEC and how you can implement that. It's pretty nice. Okay, I have here the tools. Let's see here if I can start in here the scanning. I can start in, you can see here, hold on, ORSEC started the analysis of your code. So basically I will perform the same analysis, but in this case, I'm running by IDE, okay? In this case, VS Code. But if you see here, I have not only 3, I don't remember how many files I have here. I think it's the same. Let's see here. Yes, it's the same. I will receive probably the same result here. Yes, ORSEC, as you can see here, is analyzing your code. Okay, so it's very interesting. Another point here, in my opinion, it's very nice. It's about the intelligence behind of these tools. Let me explain here. I think it's in overview. Manage the vulnerabilities, requirements. Let me share with you here the other interesting how to classify the vulnerability. No, let's check here. I think it's glossary. No, let me remember. I think it's overview. I would like to, here, check out all the support language and available tools. Here it's very important to show you, because as you can see here, how to add tools using ORSEC engine, as I explained you using the example of the Erlang. Okay, so you can click here, you can see. But take a look at the specifically version of the tools, and here others possibility. They use it inside of the, for example, for Python, you can use the tools used basically Bandit, Safety, SingWrap, Dependency Check. It's very interesting, and Thrive. So if you see here, they have a specifically SCCA functions, okay, analysis composition, and Thrive is based on, if I remember correctly, it's a container scanning. If I'm correctly, it's a container scanning. If you remember, yeah, it's a container scanning. So it's pretty nice because it's open source. You can put in all those intelligence behind of that. Okay, so it's very interesting. Ruby, JavaScript, and TypeScript. So it's very scalable. Okay. from my perspective, it's pretty interesting because you can see more than one program language and tools like a Kubernetes and Terraform. They're using here the intelligence from Chekhov, probably you know. And here is very interesting functions, okay? And the leaks, if you have some, you know, a code vulnerable in your code, and here is some others possibility using by CLI and using by program language and tools. So you can explore, of course, after this presentation. So, okay, I finish here the scanning. The scanning works very nice. And take a look about the possible vulnerabilities, okay? So if you see here, JavaScript RSec engine, so the log is almost the same, but with a few differences, as you can see here. So if you put your mouse here, you can see the informations and you can see exactly where is the vulnerability, okay? And here's the explanation about the RSec engine, the same injections, doc.js, and you can see the link, the reference link, as I show you, okay, CWE, docmitre, and the vulnerabilities, the number of the vulnerability is 78, okay? And you can see view the problem and you can quick fix. If you want, you can manage your code yourself. It's pretty simple because you see the code, you can improve your code, okay? And in this case, I think it's more informational. Okay, in this case, it's informational information. It's not exactly, they don't have any sensitive data, but it's informational. There's a possibility. And here it's another app, as we see in our code, right? And using, in this case, is other vulnerabilities, as you can see here, okay? And let's see here, CWE, docmitre, and definitions and stuff like that. So I could go there. If you are a developer, you can go here once again, click here and paste to see what is exactly this vulnerability in details, right? So using an insufficiently random value. So how you can improve that? Here's the child of, parent of. So all those vulnerabilities are linked with the same vulnerability. It's very, very interesting. So as you can see here, others vulnerabilities more not too, it's in this case is a low vulnerability, is a medium. In this case it's not low, it's medium, and here is only the result is informational, or no, it's low in this case, and this is an informational, exactly, the information. So you can see here all those informations you can see in details inside of that, right? So we see basically all those informations we've seen in our presentations here, the RSec based on CLI, as I show you here for you. Let me return here in the explanation. And we saw installations process. Let me return here. We install manually, and I using the CLI to see the results. And I using my IDE. And now to finish this presentation, I will start installing via pipeline, right? So I'm using here my GitHub to show you this example. Let me return here in my profile here, Filipi 86, repository RSec demo. Okay, this is my pipeline here. If you see my actions here, I can use in here. So no one actions running here, no one workflow running here. So here, if you want, you can see here how you can set your workflow. But basically, the thing that I need to do is to go to the GitHub and create a specific workflow. I need to create a specifically RSec EML. Okay, I need to create this specifically folder. I will go in the installation process. I will copy and paste these specifically actions. So I could use in AWS Code Build or other things like this, but I will be using the GitHub actions to implement this in my pipeline. Okay, and here we can see some information. If I, you know, when I try to commit to something, in this case, I'm not executing this, but basically I will executing this specific flow. Okay, this job actually called RSec-security using the latest version. I will check out those codes and I will run in the RSec. Basically, that's the actions, okay? And what is the command? It's a simple curl. Remember when I install the tools, okay? So I execute this, and after that, I will executing the RSec start. I will set -p, it means a path, okay? And I will put this doc slash based on the root folder that I will execute this, and I will using -8 to set through. Why? Because that's the point here. If you'd like to create a specific gate, okay, a security gate in this code, let's suppose this way. So if my project, in this case, my project called it RSec-demo, if something inside of my code is vulnerable, I will create this specifically security gate. Let's call this way, okay? And the gate, it will be if I found any vulnerability in my code, I will receive the error, the error 1, and if this error appears, so it's because my code is vulnerable, and I need to, check this, and I will block this code to pass through the, finish my pipeline. Okay, so I create this specifically file here, and I will need to add here, git add. So I need to commit this dash and I will call our second demo. Yes, so this is my file, right? That's okay. So git push original master. I'm old using master. Okay, so click enter, and oh yeah, I need to set in here the password because it's more safe. Remember that. And the goal. So crossing our fingers now. Let's pray to the Lord of Demos, and let's see now. Oh, something happened. I think no, maybe something happened. I think it's something good. Okay, let's continue to see here. So I'm executing in my pipeline now. So if you have a specific environment, so they will executing those steps here. Basically, they running the RSec security, executing the job. Okay, basically the steps is seeing the virtual environment, downloading the repository, check those informations, checking the code, and we're running the RSec. And this is my security gate, let's call this way, okay? Running curl, remember the command to install the tools. I download the tools, the version, the same command that you see in the CLI, and after that, I executing the command to start the RSec, remember? And after that, scanning code, go back, and let's see here, boom. You see how it's very fast in this case because I'm not running now in my pipeline. Let's see here. And if you see the same logs that you see in my CLI, remember that? Not only CLI, but in my IDE command. And I have here the error exit code 1. It means what? That this code is vulnerable. So in this case, I create this specific security gate, so my code need to be evaluated again, and I need to improve those security results in this case, right? And now I finish here my presentation. Of course, we need to have more time to explain about the web applications possibility, but basically, just to finish this, here is the main point to show you here is let's see if I can show you here the information. Yes, basically this is the dashboard. Okay, so when you set here as RSec start, you can send all those information from this web console management. Okay, and you can see here the vulnerabilities by developer, by language. If you'd like to create a specific training focus in a specific programming language, or for example JavaScript, Python, C# or other, and vulnerability by repository, in this case by project. Okay, and As you can see here, you can see the scale or the vulnerabilities, and you can see the webhooks repository. So it's very, very nice tools. Okay, so now I finish here my presentations, and let me stop my share screen here.